Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're working on foil fall leaves. We're going to color these with alcohol inks. They're real simple to make and you can whip them out and use them for decorations or give them to a friend. Let's get started. These are our foil fall oak leaves and I really love this, and this is a really simple project. It's not hard at all and we're going to use nature to inspire us. The first thing we want to do is purchase a shadow box, and I picked mine up in a 3-pack. They were actually cheaper in a 3-pack than they were singly, but you can get them at your craft stores, maybe Walmart, and just use your 50%, 40% coupon to buy them or purchase them on sale, and that will help offset the cost. I went out into nature and I picked up some oak leaves. Now, I do understand if some of you don't have nature or oak leaves around, then just go online and look for free patterns and type in oak leaves, and there's a bunch of those as well. But I really like to be inspired by nature and have different things. Now, the one thing I did notice on this is the back of this, when we open it up, is a lot wider than the front. So you want to think about this part is covered up so that area is not going to show. So I kind of look at the front of this and make sure that it's not going to be too big or anything like that. I want one big leaf and one smaller leaf to kind of set in that. So that's how I'm going to start. I'm going to be using my Miriam Joy wax tools to do my foil work with, my embossing work, and I have 5 different tools. Each one is a different end, and these are going to last you a lifetime. You're never going to break on you or go bad on you, so these are really great tools. But because I have bigger ones, my embossing work is a lot different than other people's. So that's kind of a little heads up there. I'm probably going to be using my number 2 tool in either my 1 or my 0. So just 2 of the tools is fine. I'm going to be using a foil, and this is aluminum tooling foil, and this is 36 gauge, and we do have sheets of this at miriamjoy.com because this is a little bit thicker than the ones normally that you find at the craft store. So I can work it a little bit easier and not worry about it tearing or anything like that. To make this work, you have to have a piece of fun foam, and just cut it whatever size you want. I usually cut mine in a size about that big because that's what I'm usually working with. So I'm just going to take a piece that's the size of my leaf, and I'm going to just set it right down on that. You can also come in and just kind of smooth your foil out if you need to as well. And if you needed to, you could tape it on, but I'm just going to hold it on with my finger and go around it this first time. I'm going to use my number 1 tool, the larger end. I guess that's a smaller end, and I'm just going to trace around my oak leaf all the way around. If you move it, just adjust it as you're going. It's not a big deal. I'll try and get my hand out of the way so you can see me coming up this other side. And you want to press pretty good so that you have that indent. If you don't have that fun foam underneath, there's nothing for it to cushion it, so you're not going to get that impression. That is why you have to have that fun foam. And it's really inexpensive at your craft store. So we've got our basic outline there. So I think I'm probably going to come back over and just do this with a little bit a bigger one here. And you should not be scraping it or scratching it. It should slide pretty smoothly. If you start to scrape or scratch it, you need to lighten it up or work it at a different angle. So we're going to do that there. All right, now I'm going to come right down the middle of this. I think I'm going to switch back to this guy here. I'm going to come right down the middle. We're making our veins. And the veins on the leaf, you see one in the middle of each of those, and then usually one in between. So I am just following my leaf, following what nature gave me. So I'm doing all the ones in those first. And then if you think that it still needs some, you could do the ones on the middle, or another thing you could do is come back and do these little guys out like that. Just make sure that you leave enough room for the one next to it. I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one there. And if you think this is too much, then don't do it. If you like it simpler, better, then just do it more simple. But don't overdo it. I'm going to do in between there because I think it needs it. There, and there. Okay, so we've got that nice and pretty there. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that out at this time. But what we're going to do is, when you look at this, you see the curve of the outside of the line, and it goes up and it goes down, and then here is your outside. You don't want to cut on the beginning, the middle. You want to cut on the very outside to keep that whole circle shape. So you want to cut on that very outside where it starts to go flat. And be careful with little sharp pieces because they can get very sharp. So if you need to come in, if you have a little one that's at a point, come in and knock that off with your scissors, but be careful when you're handling it because it can get very sharp. And it's like some of these right here, I'm going to come back in and get that because I couldn't quite get it at that other angle. But these are the sharp points that I am talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting this all the way around, and then we'll do our next part of the leaf. I've cut this all the way out. Make sure you leave a little bit of a stem. That's what we're going to glue onto. So we want to make sure we do that. Now this is the side that I pushed everything down. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to go in between the raised areas, not a whole lot, and just push it down just a little bit. But you want to make sure you're not doing any of those raised areas. Now, I see a lot of people work the foil back and forth and back and forth. And to me, it just kind of evens it out more in the long run. I really do not overwork it. I kind of leave it up more because I think if you do the highs and the lows and leave it, then you've got higher ups and downs. But if you work it and work it and work it, it just kind of all ends up being closer to the same. So that is my theory behind that. But I have different tools than other people. And you can get the wax tools at miriamjoy.com. Okay, so now that we've done this, we've cut this, but we've also kind of flattened this edge out again So I'm going to use one of my smaller tools, back to probably my number 1, and I'm going to go right in the middle of that edge so we can curl up that end again. And you can see it start to curl back up again. This also gives movement to your leaves, and I'm not right on the edge. I'm right in the middle of that curl of the edge that we had the first time. And I'm going to go all the way around with that. And I'm going to do both sides of that leaf. So those edges kind of get tucked back under. And then I'm also going to go down the, just these little veins, not the big ones, but the ones that go right down the middle of each ones, not the little ones, just to put those in there. And those other ones we're going to leave alone. We just want these more to show up more. And then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use my bigger one here, as I'm going to go right down the middle, and what that's going to do is that's going to curl up that leaf again. You can see it start to move. So we've got that really curled up. Now you can do that as curled as you want to, or as little as you want to. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. So I'm going to find a smaller leaf and do it now to go with this set. And I'm going to do it just exactly the same as I did my last one. Make sure you leave a little bit of a stem, and once I get that done, and I might not put as many of the little veins on the sides, I just may do the ones down the middle. That may be the only thing that I do different on the smaller one. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this guy up here. I'm going to be painting these with alcohol inks, and you can pick any colors you want to, whatever you want to. Even if you found a 3-pack, like the purple, orange, and yellow come in a 3-pack, that is fine. Just anything that you think they should be, just use your imagination. I like bright and vibrant colors. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my back so that they're not silver if you happen to see a little bit of the back. So I'm just going to use a dark color, and this is Espresso. It's just a dark brown, and this teak wood is really pretty too. And I'm just using these little, probably more of a disposable paintbrush. You could use a child's paintbrush or anything like that as well. And I just clean them out in my 91% alcohol in between, and I just keep on using these guys again and again. But they do, the alcohol inks are sticky, and just regular soap and water will not get them out, so that's real important. And I just usually put my 91% alcohol in my spray bottle, and I put some of it in one of these little holes here on my paint palette, and just wash my brushes off as I am going. So I'm going to get both of these done in the back. And this is my little leaf. He's all cut off and done. And you can see I just did the straight ones on him. If you like that better than that, just do it that way. Whatever you like. There is no right or wrong. Once the backs are done, we're going to start with the fronts. And I'm just going to take that color over just a little bit. Not too much on that, so I have it matching the back. Now I'm going to rinse it in my alcohol and get that color out of there. Now I want to do one of my leaves some different colors. Like for this guy, I think I'll do red, orange, and yellow with a little bit of brown. And then I think on this guy I'm going to do my purple with some greens and a little bit of brown, so that when I'm laying them on top of each other, one shows off and you don't lose it in the other leaf. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. I'm going to use Poppy Field for my red, and I believe I have Sunset Orange and Sunshine Yellow. And those usually come in the 3-pack with the purple, like I said earlier. But we're just going to start putting these on. There is no right or wrong on these. Just kind of get them on. You may want to put them on in sections. You may want to put them on in just areas. And I poured out way too much red. Oh my gosh, I hate to waste that there. So, another little trick is if you just have a little bit left to do and you have some left in your palette, take your alcohol and rub it on that and you'll pick that paint right up, and there'll be just enough to do that. So I'm going to see if I have enough orange left in this guy to do. And then just do your first color kind of first, and then once you get near where you're done, then run it up to the other color, because you don't want that red in your ink when you're kind of spreading it around. And then I want to do the yellow. I'm just going to go to a clean brush here because this is a lighter color. And we'll see, I may go back and do more red. We'll see here. So I still have that red as well. But isn't that already just really pretty? And then I have that little bit of brown. I can make this area red. I really like that red. And like I said, I poured a little bit too much of it anyway. And you can kind of bring that around the edges if you want to. However you think this needs to go. It's all up to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of the brown color. Let's see if the teak wood is dark enough. If not, I'll go back to the espresso. And I am just going to do that down the center of the lines just to give it that leaf look. Just real lightly, not very much at all, because that's really going to bleed out. And I'm just going to do those bigger veins. And that red was real fresh, so it just bled right in, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that at all. So however you kind of decide that that needs to look. I see a little bit of silver there. So the last thing I am going to do here on my leaf is I'm going to take my alcohol. This is the 91%, and it does make a difference. And I have it in my water bottle, spray bottle, and what I'm going to do is spray it up in the air and then just lightly put my leaf under it, and then it's going to kind of speckle it a bit. I don't want to do it directly because it will bleed out a lot. So I'm just going to spray up in the air and then just let that dry. And you can see where it hit on there, and if you don't think it's enough, you can do it again, but it really does all those little things in there, and I don't think I want it much more than that, maybe just a tiny bit, but you can see even where the silver will start to show up, so you don't want to do it quite too much. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with my little leaf. I'm going to do it purple and green, and then finish it up, and then we'll set those. For the background, I found all these cool kind of textures. I've got kind of a corrugated cardboard feel. This one's cork. This one is some woven burlap. So there's all kinds of things you could do. And this one I did use the corrugated background, and that kind of gives it that fall feel. So whatever you want to use, and then you want a little bit of brighter colors to kind of make it pop. Sticking with the fall colors that I used. And I really liked this white piece of paper that's kind of see-through here. So I kind of laid it down, and I thought that really looked neat with my leaves. So I'm going to go with that. And then I think I'm going to add a pop of color with my orange and use my variegated or corrugated piece there. So we want to measure our little guy here, and he is 5 inches by 7 inches. So we need to cut this 5 by 7. And I'm going to try and do it so I don't have to do all of my paper. And I think I'm going to go ahead and tape this on a little bit. This piece to the other piece. I'll tape it a little bit more when I get going here. So we want it 5. So I'm going to do this and see if that's about 7. We'll see in just a minute here how far across that is. 5 by 7. We're almost there. So you may have another way of doing that, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that and get that ready to frame. Okay, we've got these all cut. I'm getting ready to glue them on it, and again, these are not flattened down. And just make sure they're where you want them. We're going to put them on, and I'm going to put just a tad at the bottom to hold that in place. We're going to cover that up a little bit, so don't worry about it if it doesn't get exactly where you want it up there at the top of that glue showing through. And I am going to come in here and just do a tad of glue, hopefully that you won't be able to see. Alright. And you also can put something behind this or underneath this to help this even stand up a little bit more if you would like to. And that way that leaf is up off the other leaf. And you see it a little bit more as well. So there's all kinds of fun ways that you can do that. Now let's kind of look at there, make sure we kind of got that where we want that. Could have gone over to the right just a little bit, but it's not bad. I might take it over just a tad. And get it up here with the paper, and I always leave things like this in so that if I do it, you know that you can do it as well. So I am just going to kind of bring that front piece over and leave that bottom one anchored there. Okay, so I'm going to put a raffia bow on it, on those tops to cover that up, and I've kind of trimmed the tails on the bow. And you can do that however you want to. Bring that guy down just a little bit, but we want to make sure we get it inside the frame. So get those little tails that are kind of running around. And we've got a new item this year. This is our little acorns. And I'm going to do a couple of little acorns here. And because this leaf is so small, I think I'm going to do them on top and bottom on this one. them that direction. So we've kind of got them going in different areas. We may need a third one on this just to make it even out. But you do it however you think you need to do it, whatever you think looks good. You might not like it that way. So it's all up to you. I'll bring that guy up and over. Make sure we get rid of our little tails. And then we're going to put it in our little frame there. And isn't that really sweet? We also have some little wooden leaves, and I think that would really kind of look cool in there. And you can paint these any color you want to. That's what's great about them. So if you want these brown, just use brown acrylic paint over the top of them so they can be whatever color you want. But that is a real simple fall foil oak leaf.